Have you ever looked back at the past year and wondered why nothing has changed? Work hasn't changed, old habits are still there, and unfinished plans remain unfulfilled. Perhaps you've thought about changing, but then everything falls into forgetfulness. This doesn't happen only to you. It's a common cycle for many people. Imagine you're standing on an escalator going down. If you don't step up, you will automatically be pulled back. Life is the same. No one really stands still. Either you're moving forward or you're being pulled back, whether you realize it or not. Self-improvement is not a luxury choice. It's a necessity to avoid falling behind. If we don't grow, we don't just stay where we are, we gradually get surpassed by the world. Why do some people always progress while many others remain stuck? The secret doesn't lie in talent or luck, but in how they approach self-development. Those who never stop improving themselves aren't perfect people, but those who understand how to change sustainably. They know that to progress, one cannot rely on fleeting inspiration or short-term efforts. What matters is that they understand the fundamental rules that make personal growth a continuous process rather than a temporary resolution that quickly fades away. Self-improvement doesn't mean becoming a perfect person. No one can be perfect, and if you set such a goal, you will quickly fall into disappointment. Self-improvement means becoming a little better every day compared to yesterday. Even a small change can make a big difference if sustained long enough. Someone who improves 1% each day will not only be slightly better, but will improve exponentially after a year. On the other hand, if we let ourselves slip back a little every day, that regression will multiply over time. Many people believe that change requires a big push, an important event, or a special moment. But in reality, those who change most drastically are not those who wait for inspiration, but those who take action even when they're not ready. There is no perfect time to start. If we wait for enough motivation, enough knowledge, or ideal conditions, we might never start. Change comes from small actions, not from grand plans that are indefinitely postponed. Another reason many people cannot change is because they believe they need strong motivation. They think that only when they feel determined enough can they take action. But in reality, motivation isn't something that is available. It's something created through the process of taking action. The more you do, the more motivation you have to continue. If you keep waiting for inspiration to start, you might never do anything at all. What matters is not how much motivation you have, but your ability to maintain discipline and take action even when you're not inspired. Not only motivation, but the environment around us also greatly influences our ability to change. If you're surrounded by people who only like to complain and never try to improve, you will easily be caught up in that lifestyle. Conversely, if you're around people who are always looking to develop themselves, you will tend to do the same. We are influenced by what we interact with daily, from people and work to the information we receive. If you want to improve yourself, actively create an environment that helps you progress rather than pull you down. Another misconception is that change must happen quickly. Many people set big goals but want to see results immediately. When they don't see progress as quickly as expected, they easily give up. But sustainable change never comes from impulsive efforts. It comes from small accumulations over time. Just like a seed needs time to sprout and grow, change also requires a process. One day of exercise won't make you fit, but a year of consistent training will make a noticeable difference. A book won't make you smarter instantly, but a habit of reading daily will gradually change your mindset. More importantly, self-improvement is not a task with an endpoint. There is no final destination, only milestones along the journey. When you achieve one goal, you'll set another. When you develop to a certain level, greater challenges will arise. This is not something to be afraid of, but a sign that you're on the right path. Instead of waiting for a day when you can rest and no longer need to develop, accept that life is always a journey of learning and continuous progress. This book doesn't provide temporary tips or motivational quotes. It helps you understand the fundamental rules of self-development so that change no longer becomes a battle against yourself, but a natural part of life. When you understand these rules, you'll realize that improving yourself isn't as hard as you think. It doesn't require big immediate changes, but small things done consistently. It doesn't matter where you are or how many times you failed before. What matters is that you can start again today. If you apply these rules to your life, you will not only see change in your work, relationships, or personal goals, but more importantly, you will build a better version of yourself each day. And that is the most important thing. Part 1, the law of perception. Change starts with mindset. All change begins with how we perceive things. If we don't recognize what needs to be changed, we have no reason to take action. If we don't believe change is possible, we will never try. This is why perception is the foundation of all self-improvement. Perception is not just about seeing reality, but also about how we interpret it. Two people can face the same situation, but one may see an opportunity while the other sees only difficulty. One may believe they can develop while the other thinks abilities are fixed. This perception determines the actions that follow. If we believe we can improve, we will find ways to do so. Everything is predetermined, we will have no motivation to change. One of the common mistakes is thinking that a person's mindset is fixed. In reality, the human brain has the ability to change and adapt over time. What we believe is not always the truth, but often the result of our past experiences or what we've been taught. If someone always believes they're bad at something, they may never try or give up when faced with difficulties. But if they understand that abilities can develop, they will continue trying and eventually achieve better results. How we think not only affects our actions, but also determines our emotions. A person who believes that challenges are opportunities to learn will feel excited when faced with obstacles. On the other hand, someone who sees difficulties as signs of failure will feel anxious, discouraged, and more likely to give up. The reality does not change, but how we perceive it changes the way we react. To improve ourselves, the first thing we need to do is identify the limiting mindsets that are holding us back. One of these is the belief that success is reserved for those with innate talent. If we think only special people can be good, we won't put in our best efforts. But if we understand that anyone can grow through learning and practice, we will take more action instead of just waiting or envying others. Another limiting belief is thinking that failure equals lack of ability. Many people give up after a few failures because they believe it proves they're not good enough. But failure is just a natural part of the learning process. If someone quits as soon as they face difficulties, they will never discover their true limits. Successful people are not those who have never failed, but those who learn from failure and keep moving forward. Another crucial aspect of perception is how we ask ourselves questions. The questions we ask ourselves direct our thoughts and actions. If we face a challenge and ask, "Why do I always fail?" our brain will look for ways to confirm that with negative reasons. But if we ask, "What can I learn from this?" our thoughts will focus on solutions and opportunities for growth. Changing the way we ask questions can alter the entire direction we take. How we talk to ourselves also has a significant impact on our ability to improve. If we constantly tell ourselves, "I can't do this," "I'm not good enough," we will subconsciously act according to those beliefs and limit our own potential. But if we change the way we talk to ourselves, we can open up new possibilities. Saying, "I'm not good at this yet, but I can improve," creates a growth mindset, encouraging us to actively seek opportunities to learn and change. Mindset is not fixed, but it doesn't change by itself. To improve our perception, we need to actively observe how we think and question our beliefs. When we notice a negative or limiting thought, we should ask whether it's truly true. Often, what we believe is simply the result of habits or influences from our environment. When we begin to reconsider our beliefs, we will realize that many of the limitations we previously had were created by ourselves. Improving perception not only helps us have a clearer view of ourselves, but also enables us to make better decisions. If we don't recognize the problem, we won't look for ways to solve it. If we don't believe we can change, we won't try. But if we have the right perception, we will see new opportunities and make the most of them for growth. The first step in change is not action, but changing the way we view ourselves and the world around us. When our mindset changes, our actions will follow. And when our actions change, the results will also change. This is why perception is the foundation of all development. Without changing perception, all other efforts may be limited by old thoughts. But when perception expands, the possibility for change becomes limitless. Part 2, the law of action. Knowledge does not create results. Action is the key. Knowing something is right does not mean you can do it. Everyone knows that exercising is good for health, but not everyone maintains this habit. Everyone understands that learning is important, but not everyone spends time developing new skills. The problem does not lie in the lack of knowledge, but in the lack of action. Action is the only bridge between understanding and actual results. If we only stop at thinking, planning, or researching, nothing will change. The world does not reward good ideas, but only recognizes what is implemented. Knowledge can help you understand a problem, but only action creates real change. One of the biggest barriers preventing people from taking action is waiting for the perfect moment. They want to have all the information, enough motivation, and the best conditions before they start. But in reality, there is never a perfect time. If you keep waiting, you will delay indefinitely. The people who move forward are not the ones who wait for ideal conditions, but those who start, even when they're not ready. Another mistake is thinking too much but doing too little. They spend hours researching the most effective methods but don't actually apply them. They make detailed plans but never carry them out. The more we think without taking action, the more we create a sense that everything is more complicated than it really is. Meanwhile, as soon as we start doing, we quickly realize that many things are not as difficult as we thought. The truth is, you don't need a perfect plan to start. You just need to take one small step. What matters is not having a perfect strategy from the beginning, but making continuous progress. A small, repeated action can lead to much greater results than great plans that are never carried out. Motivation is often seen as an important factor in prompting people to take action. But if you rely on motivation, you will soon fail. Motivation is unstable, sometimes present, sometimes absent. If you wait for inspiration to start, you will never get far. Successful people do not depend on motivation. They depend on discipline. They act even when they are not excited. They understand that action comes first and inspiration follows. Once they begin, the brain gradually adapts and generates the energy needed to continue. One reason many people hesitate to act is the fear of failure. They worry they will do something wrong or won't achieve the expected result. But no one gets everything right the first time. Failure is not a sign of incompetence, but a part of the learning process. If you don't dare to act, you will never know what could happen. If you don't try, you will always be stuck at the starting point. Action is not only the only way to create results, but also the only way to truly learn. There is no experience more valuable than doing things yourself. You can read hundreds of books about swimming, but only by jumping into the water will you know what swimming really feels like. You can learn all the theories about business, but only when you dive into practice will you understand how to run a business. Another common mistake is thinking that just doing a lot will lead to results. But not all actions are of equal value. Effective actions are those that are purposeful, have clear goals, and are adjusted based on real outcomes. If you keep doing without thinking, you might find yourself repeating mistakes without progressing. On the other hand, if you analyze the results and improve over time, you will quickly achieve what you want. Small but consistent actions will create great results over time. If you improve just a little every day, after a year, you will have made significant progress. Progress doesn't have to be quick. What's important is that you don't stop. Those who achieve great success are not the ones who make giant leaps, but the ones who persist through small steps. No one can change just by thinking. If you want to grow, you must take action. There's no need to wait, no need to look for the perfect moment, no need for inspiration. Just start right now with what you have. When you truly add, everything becomes clearer, simpler, and easier. And most importantly, you will see yourself improving every day. Part 3, the law of time. Progress comes from small accumulations. If you plant a seed in the ground, you can water it every day and take good care of it, but you won't see it grow immediately. The next day, if you look at the soil, you'll still just see soil. A week later, there may still be no noticeable changes. But if you persist, one day a sprout will appear. And from that small seed, it will grow into a sturdy tree. Human progress works in a similar way. Many people want to change quickly. They expect results after just a few days of effort. When they don't see any significant difference, they get discouraged and give up. But in reality, all growth takes time. No one becomes excellent overnight. No achievement is made from a single effort. Success is not the result of one decisive moment, but the accumulation of small, repeated actions over a long period of time. One of the reasons many people give up halfway is because they don't see progress right away. But real progress does not happen in a straight line. It's like boiling water. When you start heating water, the temperature rises gradually, but the water is not yet boiling. At 30 degrees Celsius, 50 degrees Celsius, or 90 degrees Celsius, it may seem like nothing has changed significantly, but just a little more heat and the water will reach 100 degrees Celsius and start to boil. If you stop before that, thinking nothing is happening, you'll never see the final result. Small accumulations create large changes. If you improve yourself by just 1% each day, after a year, you won't just improve by 365%, but due to exponential compounding, you will progress much further. On the other hand, if you regress a little each day, the decline will also accumulate over time and pull you down. This is why some people get better and better, while others drift further from their goals. Persistence over time is the key factor that determines who will achieve real success. Many people can work hard for a short time, but only those who maintain continuous effort can go far. Just look at anyone who has achieved great success, and you'll see that they have spent years training, working, and improving little by little. The best people in any field are not those with extraordinary talent, but those who know how to persevere, even when they don't see immediate results. A common mistake is to evaluate progress based on short-term results. If you start exercising, after 1 week, your body may still look the same. But if you continue for 6 months or a year, the change will become clear. If you learn a new skill, the first few days can be very difficult. But after some time, what once challenged you will become easy. This doesn't mean your initial efforts were in vain. It simply means they weren't enough to produce visible results yet. Patience is an essential factor in any self-improvement process. But patience does not mean passive waiting. It means continuing to work even when you don't see results, because you understand that progress is happening, whether you realize it or not. People who lack patience often jump from one method to another, from one goal to the next, never staying long enough to see results. They constantly search for shortcuts or faster methods, but ultimately get nowhere. The only way to leverage the law of time is to focus on the process rather than immediate results. If you only think about the end goal, you will easily get discouraged when you haven't achieved it yet. But if you focus on the small actions you take every day, you will realize that you are making progress, even if it's just a little. This is why successful people don't put too much pressure on short-term results. They understand that as long as they persist with the process, good results will come naturally. Time can be either your enemy or your ally, depending on how you use it. If you waste time, it will pass by without leaving anything behind. But if you use time to practice, learn, and improve little by little, you'll see yourself progressing further. No one can control time, but everyone can control how they use it. If you start today, even with just a small step, you'll soon see change. If you procrastinate, a year from now, you'll still be in the same place and may regret not starting sooner. There are no shortcuts to sustainable progress. The only way to achieve real change is through small accumulations, day by day. Whether you want to improve at work, develop new skills, or change anything in your life, remember that everything takes time. Don't rush, don't expect immediate results. Just keep going, and one day you'll realize how much further you've come since you started. Part 4. The Law of Influence. Your environment shapes who you are. No one wants to feel restrained. No one wants to see others progress while they themselves remain stuck in place. But have you ever wondered why some people are always growing, while others, no matter how hard they try, can't seem to change? Sometimes the issue isn't your will or ability, but the environment you live in, the people you interact with daily, and the things you see and hear around you. The environment has the power to shape us more than anything else. No matter how positive your mindset is, if you're surrounded by pessimistic people, you will gradually be influenced. No matter how badly you want to change, If the environment does not support that change, you will continually be pulled back. Humans are creatures of habit, and habits are formed by what we encounter every day. If you hear negative comments every day, you will gradually start believing that life is full of difficulties. If you are in a group that is always striving to improve, you will be carried along by that development. Many people think that with enough determination, they can overcome any circumstance. But in reality, no one can completely detach themselves from their environment. What you see, hear, and experience every day will impact your thoughts and behaviors, whether you realize it or not. If you're in a room full of cigarette smoke, you will soon get used to the smell of tobacco. If you spend time with people who are always looking to improve themselves, you will also tend to do the same. The environment isn't just the people around you, but also the information you consume, the books you read, the programs you watch, and the conversations you engage in. If you read pessimistic and discouraging news every day, your mood will also be affected. If you follow inspirational content that helps you learn, your mindset will gradually shift toward a more positive direction. One of the most important things to improve yourself is to actively control your environment. If you want to grow, surround yourself with people who have a progressive mindset. Look for like-minded communities where people not only talk about change, but actually take action to make it happen. Filter out negative sources of information and limit your exposure to things that cause you to lose confidence in yourself. You can't change everything around you, but you can choose what you focus on and what you take in. Many people don't realize they're being influenced by a negative environment until they step out of it. Some people live their entire lives in a circle of unmotivated friends, doing jobs they don't like, consuming information that makes them more and more pessimistic, without ever asking themselves if there is another way. But as soon as they change their environment and interact with people who live differently, think differently, they realize they can do much more than they ever thought. Changing your environment doesn't mean abandoning everything around you, but adjusting it to align with your goals. If you can't distance yourself from negative people, try to limit their influence on your thoughts. If you can't immediately change your job, find ways to create positive influences within the areas you can control. Every small choice in your environment will accumulate and lead to bigger changes over time. Successful people are not those so strong that they can ignore all external influences, but those who know how to set up an environment that helps them grow. They don't waste time on things that lead them astray. They don't let bad habits creep into their lives. They choose paths that help them move forward, rather than being swept along by the current of those around them. If you want to change yourself, start by changing your environment. Identify what is holding you back. Look at the people you interact with, the content you consume daily. Ask yourself, does this help me grow? If not, make a change. When you adjust your environment, you will realize that self-improvement is no longer a difficult battle, but a natural process where everything around you pushes you forward. Part 5, the law of continuity. There is no final destination, only the journey. If there were a final destination in the journey of self-development, what would we do once we reached it? If one day you perfected all your skills and achieved every desired accomplishment, would you stop? If there's nothing left to improve, would life become boring and meaningless? In reality, no one can reach absolute perfection. There is no limit that once reached means a person can stop developing. Every achievement is just a temporary milestone, and there are always new goals ahead. This doesn't mean that we should never be satisfied with ourselves, but rather we must accept that self-improvement is not a task with an end point. It is an ongoing process, a journey that never stops. Many people think that if they reach a specific goal, everything will change permanently. They set milestones: a better job, more money, a more stable life. But when they achieve them, they realize that the feeling of satisfaction only lasts for a short period. After that, they set new goals. This is not a meaningless cycle, but the natural law of growth. A person who has climbed to the top of a mountain doesn't stay there forever. They will seek out a higher challenge. This continuity applies not only to accomplishments, but also to habits and mindset. If a person stops learning, stops seeking ways to improve, they don't just stop, they begin to regress. Every skill, if not maintained, will gradually fade. Every mindset, if not renewed, will become outdated. The only thing that keeps a person progressing is continuing to move forward, not because they are not good enough, but because they understand that life always has something new to explore and learn. This is also why many people feel empty, even after achieving what they once wanted. If the only goal is to achieve a specific result without preparing for the next steps, they will feel lost when they reach the destination. True satisfaction doesn't come from reaching a goal, but from the continuous effort to move further every day. There is no shortcut to sustaining development. There is no stopping point in the journey of self-improvement. If you want to maintain progress, you need a mindset that constantly sets new challenges. Once you have perfected a skill, look for another skill to learn. Once you have achieved a goal, think about what you can do next. Every new step not only helps you get better, but also keeps life full of energy and meaning. A common mistake is thinking that after a period of effort, you can stop and enjoy the results forever. But if you don't continue to act, what you've achieved will gradually fade away. An athlete who stops training will gradually lose their form. A business that stops innovating will soon be left behind. A person who stops learning will eventually fall behind in an ever-evolving society. What's important is not chasing success, but maintaining a lifestyle that always strives for development. When self-improvement becomes a natural habit, you will no longer feel pressured or stressed by the goals ahead. Instead, you will feel that every day is meaningful, knowing you are moving forward step by step, whether quickly or slowly. The journey of personal development has no specific endpoint, but every milestone achieved opens up new opportunities. When you look back, you will see that what once felt like a major challenge has now become something normal. What once made you anxious is no longer scary. The greatest change isn't what you've achieved, but the person you've become in the process. There is no perfect road, and no plan can guarantee absolute success. The only thing that's certain is that if you continue moving forward, you will always be better than yesterday. Every day is an opportunity to do something better, learn something new, or try something different. As long as you don't stop, you will continue to grow. Conclusion: change begins today. There is no perfect moment to start changing. There are no ideal conditions that ensure everything will go smoothly, but that doesn't matter. What matters is that you can start today, right now, with what you have in hand. What you do today will determine who you become in the future. If you continue with the same old habits, you will get the same old results. If you are willing to change, even with one small action, you've taken the first step on a new path. No one can improve themselves in one day, but anyone can start the process right now. All that's needed to change is not a perfect plan, not immense motivation, but just the first step. After that, small steps will create big changes. Look back at the laws you've learned. Perception helps you understand what needs to change. Action helps you turn thoughts into results. Time helps you accumulate small improvements into great achievements. Environment helps you maintain motivation, and continuity ensures that you will never stop. Everyone has the ability to change their life. No one is born with a fixed fate. The people you admire are not those with special luck, but those who have understood and applied these laws persistently. They are not perfect, but they never stop moving forward. It doesn't matter where you are on this journey. What matters is whether you're willing to keep moving forward. If you decide to change, nothing can stop you. If you truly want to improve yourself, there is no reason to delay. There is only one way to know what could happen, and that is to start today.